Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Prep Life Podcast. This is your founder and CEO of Glam Girl Bikini, Amy Inger. And today I'm joined by my fabulous co host, Lee Marie Hossetter. Hey.
Hello and welcome back. First show of the season.
Yeah. I was just got back. Those of you that don't know what Lee's talking about, I was just in New York and I just did my first ever WBFF competition. So it was definitely a new adventure. And if you're patient enough, we will completely recap the whole show experience. I mean, this was my 34th show.
Oh my God.
So 33 have all been in the NPC, either at the national pro qualifier level or like the regional level. So it's definitely like a huge contrast in like just the preps and just like how that whole thing worked like personally. But I do want to wait until I get feedback because I had a couple of you DM me being like, hey, this would be a great podcast episode to talk about like your experience and everything. And I just don't I want to make sure I understand like exactly what happened. So I will tell you like I got second, which was missing the pro card by one. So
Oh my
bridesmaid, not the
gosh.
bride, which was like obviously like everybody goes to win. It was a stacked lineup. I mean, the girl that won her pro card that spoke English in my fitness class, she actually has been doing this for like 9 years. So I mean, I was a true novice, you know. This was my first time ever competing in this federation. So I felt honored to get second. I didn't realize in masters first place is the only one that gets a pro card, and then open it's the top three.
Oh wow.
So if I would have done open, I might have gotten a pro card because I was second place in both bikini and fitness. So bikini, the girl that won her pro card didn't speak English, so I have no idea what her experience level is, but she she had no idea what we were talking about. Her coach was like speaking to her in Spanish. So um
Okay, so with this might be get jumping ahead, but like you did bikini and fitness, what's the difference? Did you pose differently? Was it just two different categories?
yeah, so that's a great segue into what today's show is going to be about because today we're going to kind of keep it to the concrete differences in the judging criteria and the divisions, and then also the cost, because a lot of people have said that like there's a lot of cost in WBFF compared to NPC and IFBB. So I did like a lot of math, which you're welcome because I hate math. No, it's like poking needles in my eyes, but I did it. But I basically just did a whole rundown of what everything would cost. And then we're also going to get into, so judging criteria. What was I missing? The cost, and was there one other one that we're going to talk about today?
I think just the differences between
Yeah.
competing in the NPC and competing in the
Yeah.
WWF.
So, spoiler alert, or I guess teaser. Um, so I'm talking from an amateur perspective on the compare and contrast. So we actually were really like blessed and very honored to have Holly Baxter on our podcast. And she is going to tell you the ins and outs of as a pro because she just turned IFBB pro in bikini, and she was a fitness pro in WBFF. So she's going to tell you, she also has like multiple pro cards. So it's going to be an interesting episode to hear from a pro's perspective, like what the WBFF is as a pro versus the IFBB. So I'm personally telling you what it's like to be an NPC amateur competitor and a WBFF amateur competitor. So keep that in mind today. Listen next week. I think it's going to launch next Monday, which today is July 29th. And then hopefully by then I'll have my feedback and I'll have a better understanding for everything like next steps, because a lot of people ask me too like what my next steps were, and it really is based on my judging feedback. So I want to give like that whole like prep life journey in a nutshell once I get that. And so it might not be for a couple of weeks, but stay tuned
Stay
for
tuned.
August 12th for that episode. So let's start with first question that you mentioned. What is the difference between fitness? Because we know in fitness, Karina Harkleroad is a pro in fitness. Whitney Jones is a pro in fitness. They do routines. They look like a figure competitor. In the WBFF, it is not at all that. as you can tell from what I said about Holly Baxter, she went straight from being a fitness pro in the WBFF into the IFBB bikini. So those body types are very similar. Literally, her body type from pro fitness to pro IFBB was exactly the same. So just think of an IFBB pro bikini competitor. They have more shoulders, they're an hourglass, they're toned and fit. The WBFF has wellness and figure, so figure is harder and more lean and things like that. So just think of fitness as our bikini in a way. And then bikini in the WBFF is back in the day when I used to compete in bikini when it first started, that's more the look of like the old school bikini, like the original bikini before, the muscle kind of like the division kind of like worked its way into a different look.
The look
So, and you'll know from Holly's interview, she talks about how she was too muscular for bikini back in 2010 when it first started, and now she's just perfect for it. So that shows you. So my body type, when I started my journey, you know, in 2012 was my first bikini competition. So I fit the criteria very well then. And so that's why I wanted to try the WBFF to see how my physique would look, as a bikini competitor in the WBFF. So, do you want to go into the NPC criteria just for bikini? So, our listeners that are looking to do an amateur NPC show for the first time, they know like what the judges are looking for. And then I'll go through the WBFF criteria.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I might not like say it super official and everything, but I know they're
No,
looking
that's fine.
for,
But I mean, you have the rules like it's
yeah,
on
yeah.
NBCNewsOnline.com. So if
So
you
I
want to
know that they're
reference it,
looking
you can.
for overall shape and like from top to bottom, they want good symmetry. So you want that overall X shape, like an hourglass figure. You don't want overly developed upper body or overly developed lower body. You want a very nice, even physique, tight core, not overly developed abs. They don't want to see chiseled ab muscles. They want to see nice round delts, but not capped shoulders. They want to see nice round glutes with a glute ham tie-in, which is that line between your glutes and your legs, but they don't want to see a lot of like striations or adductor muscles or anything from your back pose. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. Just some of the like don'ts on that are, I believe, like the graininess. They shouldn't have striations. They shouldn't have any squared glutes, or any specific muscle separation, just like figure competitors. So they do not want that. Your overall look does count in bikini, which like your hair, your makeup, your suit, and your tan do play a factor. So those are like the extras on that. So just to compare and contrast, I'll go over like what the WBFF is looking for in a bikini model. Basically, they need to be glamorous. So theirs is not. So we do have aesthetics in bikini because, like I just said, like hair, makeup, tan, that all matters. But like in bikini for WBFF, it's a three-part, actually it's a four-part judging system. So so out of 10, you get a score based on your physique. Out of 10, you get a score, 10 being the best on your, let's see, what was it? Your stage presentation. And then 10 points can up to 10 points can be awarded for your marketability, which is like more like that beauty aspect, like the hair, the makeup, the tan, like um your face. And then so those are broken up into three, and then you can get up to 5 points max on your gown. So like your best score would be like a 35 from what I understand. But to me, it's almost like it's broken into thirds, whereas NPC is, even though that beauty aspect and like that skin, hair, makeup, all that aesthetics is in that same criteria, they don't like specifically split it in half. Whereas in WBFF, it's like cut and dry. Like you can only get up to 10 points in your physique. You can only get up to 10 points in your stage presentation, which your stage presentation also is included in NPC, but it's not specifically like a score. Like, you know, Becky's not gonna say like, oh, Lee Marie got like 5 points on her pose, but her physique was a 10 and like her hair and makeup was a 7. Like it's not. It's not like that. So, and because it is
Yeah.
fashion,
It's more like kind of overall everything taken into consideration with their scores.
yeah, in NPC
Yeah.
bikini.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can also say like suit is a factor too, because the way that it displays your physique. But again, it's more physique heavy. So because it's the world of fashion, um, that's why you do get 5 points for your gown. So that's like a small factor of your score, but it's not a huge part with the 5 points. So in bikini, it's, very similar, except that the suits are a lot more modest cut. They're Brazil cut preferred. And if you come with a pro cut or a micro cut, it's very frowned upon. They don't like a lot of like back shots and stuff like that. So it's a more modest look, more couture on the stylings with the suit. Let's see what else. So on the fitness, obviously we know with fitness, in NPC, it's the routine is, I think, 2/3 of your score, and then 1/3 is your physique as a figure pro. Um, so with this one, you have a suit round where you go out and you do like the comparisons, you do your individual, but then you have a theme wear round. So for my show, I had like this like cape that kind of like came up like wings. Like a lot of them wear angel wings, but it's theme where it's whatever you want to do to like display your component of fashion for that. So they get their awards. So that's their 5 points is their theme wear because they don't wear a gown. So in fitness, you just do the bikini round and then you do your theme wear round, get your awards in your theme wear. Whereas bikini, you do the bikini round. That's the majority of the points. Then you have your ball gown and then you get your awards. So
So when you go
that's kind
up
of,
to get awarded, you're in your couture gown.
yep. Or if you're in fitness, then you're in your theme wear, like you have your wings on and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Was it okay? I don't know if you want to talk about the experience yet, but like, was it difficult to completely change outfits and like the tan and everything, like in the middle of the contest?
That was really fast. And actually, in the beginning, you also have to wear your registration gown in a carousel walk. So I literally had to put my suit bottoms underneath that gown because as soon as we did this like parade on the stage, for lack of a better word, it was called a carousel walk. Every single competitor, all of them. So even the fitness people were in a gown from registration.
Huh?
So I had to like throw that off because I was one of the first um competitors on stage with bikini because I was Masters 40. So I had to like have half my suit on. I had to have all my jewelry because there's different like accessories too and different heels also. I like cut my foot so bad because I was just like changing and just changing out the theme wear and then gowns and like it was just there were a lot of people helping backstage, which I was very grateful for. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it up there. I don't think.
Like your experience coaching and competing so many times prepared you for this show. Like I can't
Yeah.
imagine this would have been like one of your first shows.
Oh, it would have been
You've competed so many times and you've rushed people back and forth to different, classes and everything. Like
yeah,
you're used to it a little
like doing stuff in line and all
bit.
that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that was my main goal for doing this. And I know we'll get into all of that, but like one of like my main objective is just really to allow like to have a different perspective in case like if I have a client that maybe wants to do that, now I know how to navigate it.
Yeah.
And now I'm always a person that's like the lab rat. I have to try it first, see if like how it is, how it's run, figure out all the nuances because there were a lot of things I learned that I would have done differently and we'll talk about that later, but I just want to be able to help athletes and women in bikini, especially. So this just gives us, I feel like at Glam Girl, another avenue of like a whole another pool of like people that are interested. Because, like I said, there's basically two categories here that your physique fits in if you kind of are in the bikini realm of NPC. So, but I know you have limited time. Did you have a question? Real
I
quick?
did. I just had a
Okay.
quick question. So what overall with the competition, what was kind of the same as NPC? What was
Yeah, so
very
so I mean it's the same in ways and not. Like the comparison round was very similar, but it's more like wellness because You actually have a front pose.
Mhm.
Like that's not a side pose. Your side pose, your front pose in bikini is your quarter turn. So
Yes.
just exactly like wellness, where you do a front pose, quarter turn to the right, quarter turn to the right. This is your back pose, quarter turn to the right. So the comparison around, and I mean the difference in the individuals too. They do a T walk, so you have like way more time, and I'll get into that later, but like on that other episode, but it's a lot more flexibility. And I was probably the most relaxed on stage just because I was like actually having fun posing, which you know me. And if any of you have listened, I freaking hate posing. So yeah, it was like actually a fun experience. And it was enough time that you like could like calm down and like not the 10 seconds like where your nerves are still like really up there. But anyway, should we get into the cost
Yes.
differences?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm one
So
of those people. I believe that, like, I mean, you got to have like 3, 4 different outfits, all those shoes, everything. Like, I
yes.
imagined it to be like twice as much money.
Well, okay, so here's the breakdown, and the way that I categorized it was if you bought video, if you bought photos, if you bought the company, like the host, because we know with NPC, like if you buy the tan, the hair, the makeup through the show sponsored products, if you register for 2 classes, and you got to figure that you have to do regionals at NPC. So you pay for it. Like, let's say from in my case, like I paid for masters and open at an NPC show. I paid for 2 classes here, but I didn't have to qualify for it. So, I mean, I could have won my pro card in that very first show, and I was very close to it. I don't know how close I was to it because I got second place and first place got the pro card there. So
So there's no
I'm
like
counting it I'm
finals.
counting it as 2 classes for regional and 2 classes
Okay.
for a national show. So like let's say for example, you did like a warm up or like the qualifying event. So you need to qualify in the open, get top 2 at NPC. You need to qualify for masters, so you need to participate in a masters. So you do pay for those 2 classes. Then let's say you go to North Americans, you participate in the open class. So you pay for that registration and then you pay for the masters. So in NPC and IFBB, there's 4 entry fees. Whereas like in this instance, it's a pro qualifier, so there's just 2. So that made a big difference in my money. But I have to tell you that, like 50 athletes total in a show versus like 200 and 400 at nationals, I would say the average amount of national shows somebody needs to do is like 5 to 8. For somebody to get their pro card in their very first national show at NPC level is very difficult. Whereas because WBFF so much smaller, it's very, very realistic to get your pro card at your first show.
Interesting.
So like the ratio of pro card to like chances. So keep that in mind, like when you're thinking about this math. And then there is no federation card fee in the WBFF. So you do not have to pay $150 for an NPC card. You do not have to pay $300 for your IFBB card every year. So there's zero federation cost. And
Okay.
if you don't pay the 300 every year for your IFBB, you are no longer a pro. So if you let that lapse, then you have to so you have to pay $300 every year that you want to have your pro card in the IFBB. So with that all included, and now I usually don't buy photos or videos. So these numbers could be skewed, and I'm sure a lot of people don't buy.
Mhm.
Um, so in fairness, and so the video calculation that I did was with Gilco at the national level. A lot of people are familiar with him. And I think a lot of people purchase his videos. And then the WBFF just does like each one separately, similar to. So, anyways, long story short, WBFF total cost to basically get your pro card out of all those things that I mentioned, plus photos, videos, hair, makeup, tan, show sponsor is 2,500, and NPC is 2,169.
Oh, and that's for nationals and or for a regional and nationals.
Yeah. So I put double makeup,
Yep.
double hair,
Yep.
double tan because, and the tan, and I actually used an NPC tan price, which I think, like, I looked at North Americans for the hair and makeup, and um I think the tan might even be more than 145 because the regional show that I looked at was charging 145. I don't remember what it cost at nationals for a tan. Um
I think it's similar. I think it's
yeah.
like 150 or something. I feel
Yeah.
like that's
So so between the two classes at nationals, which is 600, and then the two classes is like 289 at a regional show, or roughly, and that one can vary. Both of those can vary. They can be more, they can be less. So really, like, there's a $400 difference,
Mhm.
but I would say that the WBFF's video and photos are way more expensive.
Okay.
Um, and they don't give any photos for free, which the NPC does, which is awesome.
Yeah. So
But
question, I know that like if you're doing it new and even sometimes at nationals, I would say definitely get the show tan because and show
yeah,
hair makeup and all that.
yeah,
But let's say like you have been doing it for a while and you are very comfortable doing your own pro tan. I've had athletes get nationally qualified doing their own pro tan and everything like that. In the
yeah,
NPC, you can totally pull that off and it's way cheaper.
yeah.
Do you think you would have been able to do that for the WBFF, or is it kind of different? Are they more strict on you must use this, you must use this, you must use this?
Yeah, so their tan hair and makeup was 580, and I had heard that there's like an unwritten rule that you have to use their hair, tan, and makeup, but there were so many people that didn't use all three.
Huh.
And then I mean, we'll go into this in that other episode, but I ended up having to like borrow someone's tanner because the tanning company didn't spray us in the morning and they didn't know that they were supposed to spray us
Not
in the morning.
care. You're teasing so many things. I just can't wait.
I know. I feel like I'm spilling the beans, but it's hard to
It's
like
good. This is
keep it
perfect. Now
in.
everyone has to come back and listen on August 12th.
Yeah, yeah. So for the full
Okay.
story.
I love it. So
Um,
you did mention that you had a lot more fun posing. Overall, did you just have a really good time? Did that kind of match the level of stress? Was it a better time and more stress, or was one higher, one lower than other competitions? And it was your first time doing this, so that's probably new because you've done so many other competitions. You're a pro at those.
yeah,
Actually,
I would say, like I said before, like I was more nervous for NPC and like national shows just because there's so much on the line for that 10 seconds. And like it was, you get to pick your own heels. So that was the next part I was going to get into. So we'll go
uh-huh.
into that financial part of it because I don't want to get too far off track. So heels, you can buy whatever kind you want in the WBFF. Like,
You have to be
so I
clear.
bought like these super cheap heels that were super comfortable. They have like a really thick heel. They're really low, and other people had the same shoe as me. So I know that they were fine, but they're so comfortable compared to like, and the price difference was huge. Like I think I got them for really cheap on Amazon, like maybe 20 bucks or something like that.
Huh?
And then heels at Shoe Fairy, you're gonna spend like 50 to $100, like if you want the good ones, like the Olympians, because those are really cushy and comfortable. So on that note, like heel wise, I felt like I was able to post so much better because I was so much more comfortable. It's also more affordable. And then with the so here's where I think where's the biggest difference in cost. So first of all, once you become an IFBB pro, so travel first of all is probably pretty much the same. So like you're gonna pay for a plane ticket, you're gonna pay for a hotel, but like once you're an IFBB pro, that's really all you have to pay for, other than because your entry fees are paid for.
Tan
Kelly
hair.
will get into what that costs like as a pro, but I know they do have entry fees, and they're expensive. They're more expensive than the amateur level. So where your costs can add up or where you can save is like the gowns can be expensive. I bought my registration gown on Fashion Nova for like Black Friday. I think ended up being like $20 or something like that.
Wow.
Very cheap. And it was all sequins and everything. It was really nice. I will say that I am suit sponsored, which thank you, Angel Competition Bikinis. shameless plug, please use the
Yes.
code all caps glam girl for Christmas in July. It's 20% off up until like July 31st. So you can still use your 20% off code. But yes, they did sponsor my gown. However, I felt like so sad and my suit, but I had to give them back because they are pretty expensive. And so I had to like give them to Savannah at the end of the show. I was very sad because I thought they were just both so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's like that is a cost. And if you I bought my like cape wings on Amazon for $11. I know some people can spend 200 on like the feathered wings. I thought that cape was like it was really dramatic on stage. We'll have to like maybe put a picture of it or something, but and
Okay,
then I
good.
bought like the headpiece for like 15 on Amazon. So that wasn't expensive at all. If I did fitness only, think about what that cost would have been.
Wow.
I would have only had the $20 registration, the $11 cape, and the $10 crown. So that ball gown, yes, it's very expensive, but that was just a bikini cost.
Right.
So
Yeah.
keeping that in mind. And then yeah, and then some people, and it's up to your creativity, but like you don't have to do this. I wore the same suit. I made sure my bikini round like would match my theme wear. So I kept everything green. But some people had like a separate bikini for their theme wear and then a separate like the people that were more like into the fitness side of it, I think they were able to make that investment into suits because they didn't have to buy the gown for bikini, you know?
Right.
So
There's just so much changing that is happening in my
yeah,
head
it's a
right
lot of changing.
now.
It's
Yeah.
like a fashion show. Yeah.
It is,
It
but
really is. That's what they're
man,
trying to make it.
it's just I cannot wait to hear about this whole experience. Okay, so you saved a lot of money. That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I really honestly, that cost of the show, like whatever I told you, like if I would have won my pro card, that'd have been like the cheapest journey ever, you know?
Kidding, no
I mean,
kidding. But you got, I
just
mean, also to get one spot away from your pro card in two different categories on your first show, it's pretty incredible.
well, thank you. Thank you.
For
My
sure.
Sid made me almost cry this morning because I went to the gym at Beastified and Sid's the owner,
Shout
those of you
out.
that don't know. Yeah, Lee has the shirt on. Um, he was saying that he was gonna make a tunnel of like people clapping. He didn't know that I was in town. He thought I was coming in town tomorrow, and he told Marlene, my training partner, that they were gonna make a tunnel and like I'll be clapping. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just started bawling in the gym this
Oh
morning
my god.
because I'm like, that's so supportive.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it was just really sweet. And so thank
There.
you. Anybody that like sent me messages, it was really appreciated. I really felt the love. Everybody was so kind. So
Yeah. I loved following your stories. I kept like refreshing the page between you and Savannah. I was like, what is she doing? What are they doing now? Oh, registration. Oh, they're in gowns. Like, and then
well,
Savannah, as your coach, had to dress up, or did she just want to dress
she
up?
actually like kind of had to compete. Um, so we didn't know it going into it, but like a couple weeks before, we had already planned that she was coming.
Uh-huh.
Um, and she was just gonna help out. And then they were like, well, any pros that are doing worlds, which she's competing at the WBFF, like basically Olympia, it's called Worlds in
Yep.
2 weeks in Miami. So they said any pros that are gonna be present, you can come for judges' feedback. And so she actually did her individual and she did the comparison round with the open bikini to just get judges' feedback and stage time. So she like kind of opened up the show. She had this like really pretty red thing, and then she actually gave out the awards too. So
Wow. I saw her with her big
yeah,
sash.
yeah, they have to wear their sashes once they become a pro. Once they've done their pro debut, they get a sash, and then they have to wear it everywhere
That's so
to like
cool.
identify. And then if you are world champion and you have a crown, you have to wear the crown everywhere at the events.
You're like, it's like I'm a whole Miss America kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. It's really pageant vibes. So,
That's so
but yeah,
great. Do they give speeches?
no, no, no.
Did
There's no
Andrew?
interview round or anything like that. But yeah, I think it was good for her to like get feedback and everything. But yeah, it was really nice to have her backstage. But I love
Totally.
her. We'll have to maybe get her on the show
I
because
was
she's
just gonna say that I
incredible.
would love to get her on the show with you as
Yeah, after Worlds, we should do that.
yes.
Yeah, she competes at Worlds August 10th. So we'll maybe do a recap of that and see what
Yeah.
her experience is. But yeah, Thanks everybody for listening today. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, you can go to @Prep Life Podcast or @GlamGirlBikini. If you'd like to sign up for coaching with Lee Marie or I, you can go to glamgirlbikini.com and hit the Get Started button. Thanks for listening, guys.